take them. Trying to reach this ultimate with no ultimatum. Proverbials conveying my verbatim proof vibration.
Good evening and welcome back to episode 102 of Pride Rules MMA. As always, we are sponsored by 80K Fight, where Black Hole Jiu-Jitsu, Madama Jiu-Jitsu, 2 Minute Warning Sports 360, and our family over there at Fightbook MMA. As always, I am your host, the Reverend Tommy D, joined with me by my buddy, El Professor, Omar Sangarima. Brother, how are you from this amazing weekend of fights that we had?
I'm still in shock at a couple of the outcomes. It's an embarrassment of riches at this point. We're fat and happy. I remember the lean times when we didn't have all this amazing content, and now it's kind of like I catch myself doing it even before the show. Like, oh man, it was okay. But no, man, it's a good card. It's a good card. It was a good card.
Yeah, and like you and I were talking about pre-show, you were saying that it seemed like it was going to be a sad money grab on paper, where I kind of disagree. I don't think it was a money grab at all. That main event just didn't do it for me. I don't know how many people it did it for that made them actually want to spend the $70 because, I mean, let's be honest here. The main event went exactly as we all thought that it was going to go, don't you think?
Yeah, unless, I wouldn't be lying to you if I didn't think I had hoped that it maybe gone the other way, just because sometimes you like to watch the world burn, and I would have loved to hear his post-fight speech after shocking the world. But yeah, come on. Anybody not named John Jones is gonna have that happen to him against DC.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that whole John Jones thing later on in the show. I'm glad you actually brought that up as kind of a little foreshadowing of it. But let's jump on and start talking about some of the earlier fights, the prelim fights. So you started talking about this before. Roxanne got it put on her by Sarge. Tajara Eubanks coming away with the win. I'll give Roxanne a ton of credit, though. That girl could take a beating. She can take an absolute beating.
She's always been. She's like an OG fan favorite. I've loved her for forever. Just because of her story's cool too. She went over and taught English in Japan to kind of fund her training. She lives the life. You know what I mean? And while she might not have been, say, how do I put this, gifted naturally to be an amazing athlete for fighting, she's crafty. She's a tough out. And holy shit, does she have heart for days. But Eubanks, man. Good God.
I don't understand the hate that Eubanks is getting. I don't understand why people are bashing her so much. I don't get it.
About Joe Rogan. You can't. Rogan is Oprah for men. You can't say anything that says bad things against Joe Rogan. I got into that rabbit hole a couple months ago, where I was just saying, hey, listen, I love Joe Rogan, but with some of his political shit, with some of the people he's had on, holy shit, got run out of town. Tommy. I got run
but maybe you know more about this than I do, because I hate looking into that kind of stuff. What was her problem with Rogan?
Her problem with Rogan was this. It was when what the fuck? What fight fell through for here? And then they had her coming on, and there was a women's fight. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? That fell through.
Wasn't she supposed to fight Valentina Shevchenko?
Yeah, and then something happened there, all sorts of. So that's what it was. She was supposed to come up and fight Valentina, or she was supposed to fight the girl that Valentina was supposed to fight. When she pulled out, something happened, right? And it was gonna be her versus X to potentially headline this card if Cormier and Lewis had not been, basically rushed from one fight to another. So for a hot second there, it was going to be Eubanks versus X, right? I really, it's crazy. I've been out of the game for a couple minutes here in terms of who she was fighting. But that was, was one of those things where they were discussing it on the show, just oh man, look at the injuries. And then he's like, oh, hey, Joe, they just promoted Sajar. And then he goes on to say, who the hell is that? I don't even know who she is, and I'm the fucking commentator for the UFC. Well, that got back to Sarge, and as you know, one of the reasons why I love her is she's outspoken. So when she caught wind of that, she fired back, "Hey, listen, that's disrespectful. One day you're gonna find yourself across the cage from me. You're gonna have to interview me, aka I'm gonna win in the UFC, and you're gonna have to, come and talk to me. And then I'm gonna give you a piece of my mind." That right there. You touch the sacred cow that is Joe Rogan within some circles, myself included for some things, but here I don't understand it. She was not in the wrong in terms of, hey, that's kind of bullshit. There was some slight, I could tease it out and say there were some slight misogynistic undertones there still. That could get me. But Sarge has always had a kind of a chip on her shoulder in terms of, nobody gives me my due, nobody wants to fight me, I'm a tough out for anybody, which is all true. I agree there. And then she kind of does the Tyron Woodley, not with the racial bullshit, but more so with chip on the shoulder. That's how I operate, and it works for her. But it doesn't take much, as you saw, with her to get her down that path. And then she just, I love that she came at all comers, and she tried to set Joe Rogan straight with his pull in the community. But yeah, that's where it came from. She was getting all sorts of shit, and then you compound the fact on top of that she missed weight. It wasn't a good show, and at least like hate-wise for her.
Yeah, that's one of those Joe trying to be funny things, and it kind of
probably
went a little bit too far.
Yeah, I think so. I guarantee you he knew who she was. He was just kind of, I think he was trying to make more of a point about, some of the cards being thin name-wise, especially for an MSG card, which I know you have a connection with her, but I'll say this, like if she had been the headliner with somebody, I think that would have been a little thin too. Not saying that this headliner that was better.
When I saw that was the headliner, it was Valentina. Title fight with Valentina. When it was announced, I was kind of like, all right, that's a pretty cool fight, but to headline?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I will never disagree with that, but as far as she goes, I mean, she's as game as they come. And I mean, she showed that with Roxanne. Okay, she missed weight. I don't remember how much she missed weight by. Was it a lot?
No, I think it was, like 2 pounds? I really don't think it was just a wild amount. But New York being New York, I'm pretty positive that even if she had wanted to, which I think she did, so even if they don't let you fuck around with weight in New York. They're really, really sticklers. They do let you burn off some of the pounds. They don't in some cases. I could never tell you. So that commission being what it is, I'm positive that she would have potentially lost the weight if she was given the opportunity. Maybe not. I think she would have. I think has she missed weight before though? I believe that was something that I was hearing in the Twitterverse a little bit in terms of like, hey, she misses weight and blah blah blah. That's why she sucks. It was so ridiculous how they were coming at her. And I can tell you this without a shadow of a doubt. For good or for ill, Tommy, like there was not a lot of people were talking about her. Period. She's good. We know her, and on the East Coast, she's a terror. But I'm just saying that a lot of this giving a shit about her came solely as a result of people caping up for Joe Rogan, which unfortunately was, at her expense.
Yeah, that's one of those. Yeah. Well,
exactly.
I don't want to take away from the performance, though. You know what I mean? She put on one hell of a performance. I don't know where she goes from here. I could see Dana throwing her into another fight before possibly giving her a title fight. I mean, the women's division is the Wild West. When you talk about things making sense, it's kind of hard to make sense with the lack of depth in that division, don't you think?
Yeah, we're starting to see like lack of depth in all sorts of different divisions too. You know where I'm going with this, even the men's flyweight, dude. But it's just the UFC seems kind of swinging back in the direction of where is this a money fight era, gone too far, where it's like, well, if they don't push the needle, we're just not going to even have divisions, and we're going to stray away from the whole trying to be a real sport sort of thing that they were putting on for a while, and giving these deserving athletes a chance to showcase their skills. So yeah, if you're not pushing the needle, and it is the Wild West. Anything could happen. We could not be talking about this division in 6 months. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I'd hate to even think about that, but that's
fucking ridiculous.
That seems like the way it could possibly go. But let's kick this up in a nice upbeat kind of moment here. Killer B, Ben Saunders, got dispatched early by Tiger Showman's Lyman Good. I mean, holy hell, what a fight.
Dude,
that
1 minute
crazy.
and 32 seconds, bro.
Yeah.
It takes me longer to peel a fucking avocado. That's a short guy. Hey, easy. But yeah, dude, I'm excited, man. Lyman Good's a name that if you're, as the two of us are like really heavy into the East Coast MMA scene, we know about him for a fucking minute. He's been around forever, and so it's good to see him. I saw
him fight in Ring of Combat before
fucking
he went to
75 years ago,
he went to Bellator. Yeah.
Yeah, years.
2008. Yeah.
That's
around then, 2007, 2008.
Yep. Decade, dude. Like, he's been good for a minute, solid for a while, and I'm just glad to see him, doing his thing, still getting out there,
Yeah, I mean, look, he's awesome. I don't think he'll ever hold a belt in the UFC or even get close to that because I think he's too hot and cold. But he's definitely a name. He's definitely someone that you could put even on a main card fight. It doesn't have to just be the prelims. You could put him on a main card, and it'll be an exciting fight.
Especially East Coast, dude. Right? Like, especially out there, East Coast-wise, I think he's a huge draw. If you have him in an Atlantic City card, or say you want to put him in a Brooklyn card, he's been a Five Bros guy for a long time, at least as far as I know. So yeah, I think you're underutilizing him if you're not putting him out there.
Yeah, it was kind of look, we always sit there and make jokes about prelims, but most of the times the prelims are getting more ratings than the actual pay-per-view. So maybe it might not be so bad to be on the prelims.
I would really. Have you seen any pay-per-view numbers for this event yet? I can't imagine they're too good.
No, I don't even want to look at the numbers anymore because the ones that we know are going to be good are the few and far between ones. You knew this one was not going to be good. You knew it wasn't going to be just because of the way the main event was just slapped together, like when they did Cyborg versus Yana Kunitskaya. Just throw some name on there. Hopefully, some idiots are going to turn around and spend $70 and buy this while the rest of the world is just streaming it for free or going out to the bar, having a few drinks and watching it that way.
Still not spending $70. Yeah, right.
No.
Like just having a couple of dollaritas at Applebee's and convincing them to find the signal.
I don't think there were too many viewing parties at people's houses for this event. For guys like us, we'll watch it because we've always watched it.
We will, and I will continue.
For the part-time fan, this wasn't the one they felt like spending their $70 on. They probably went out and bought like the deluxe edition of UFC 3. Or Red Dead Redemption 2 with their money they were going to spend on this pay-per-view. But, what the hell are you going to do, right?
Honestly, I agree.
So, buddy, leading off the main card, Israel Adesanya, the style bender, beat the brakes off Derek Brunson. All Israel needed was like a belt in his hand, and it would have reminded me of my childhood if I got like an F on a test or something. That's what that beating looked like. That's what it looked like.
Oh my God!
Crap. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You're going deep in the he got beat by a parrot mode. Wow. Okay. I'll give you. He's not wrong. Didn't he he had him out about 17 times in that fight? I feel like a couple of times. Like it was like a bad light switch rave in Derek Brunson's head. I feel it would go off and on and off and on. He'd get rocked with shots and Jesus Christ, and even from weird angles. You're talking about a pre-show, and if you can generate really good, solid contact with not a lot of wind up, not a lot of room to really be like, oh, I'm going to knock your head off, and you're still hitting somebody like you took a huge wind up and tried to hit one of those punching machines, you're doing something good. That style bender. I don't know. I still have to see more of his grappling, but are we going to need to see it? He had some pretty good defense for what Brunson was trying to do and take him down. Because eventually Brunson was like, fuck this. I'm not, I got to do something and try to take you down. And Israel was like, oh, you're trying to go for that single? Here's the knee.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of people are sleeping on this guy, and I don't know why. You would have thought he would have gotten an amazing rub after being on, the Joe Rogan Experience. Usually, once you get that Joe Rogan viewership, people like you no matter what, don't you think?
Jordan Peterson has made a career out of being on Joe Rogan. Let's not that's not an overstatement of the man's viewership. I was watching his on his Netflix special the other day, the latest one, hilarious, But it's midway through, I'm like, yo, this guy does this, and he has 1 billion download a year podcast. He has to be absolutely caking it, and just not only that, but the influence that he has. It's got to be unreal, just the numbers behind the scenes. So,
yeah.
Do you think he came off well in that interview, though? Is it one of those things?
So.
Where I thought so too. I don't think he came off as anything. He didn't keep carrying the torch for the anti-Brendan Shaw bandwagon, which I know you love anyway. But there was that little beef back and forth with him in terms of talking shit a little bit. Shaw got called out by the style bender for not giving him his propers, but let me tell you, you can't not give a man his propers when he does what he did to Derek Brunson. Brunson's no slouch. He's not an easy out. He might not be championship material, but he's one of those guys that if you don't bring your A game and you're not championship material yourself, you're not going to get past with any sense of ease. He just beat the shit out of him, Tommy. Fucked him up.
Yeah. And I know, like you said, you want to see what he's like in the grappling department, but he just might be one of these guys that just you're not going to get him down.
I'd be excited. I would love to see him and Whitaker right now. I'll go ahead and say it, man. I just the back and forth. You could make it. That would be a marquee fight if both of them could stay healthy. If Whitaker could stop catching, 17 types of herpes every time it seems like I, take my eye off of him, we can make this fight happen. I'd love to see it because Lord knows I don't want to see Whitaker fight Yoel Romero again. Let's put that to bed. So who else is out there? I think this is a good.
I don't even know if I'm excited for the Whitaker Gastelum fight. To be 100% honest with you.
I'm really not.
And I like Calvin. I like Calvin a lot, but
we both do.
I don't think he gets out of the first round.
He might get out of the first round, or if he doesn't, you know what that'll do for me at least? It'll make me go back and appreciate Yoel Romero that much more. To be fair, like if he goes out there and even the second round or the third, if he stops Calvin Gastelum that quickly, because I think Calvin's a great fighter. I think you do as well. If he's able to put him away, yeah, exactly. If he's able to put him away, then I'll go back and go, wow, Yoala went rounds with this man. So, that'll be exciting. But yeah, they're going to have a hard time really drumming up interest on that one, I think, which is sad because I feel that they're both stars in their own right. But I say that, but then at the same time I go, I'm not really excited to watch it. I'm excited to watch it tactically, I guess. It's more of a pick'em for sure than this main event was that we're going to discuss further, right? I think you would agree there. But I'm not.
Yeah, here's, and not to spin off on something that's not happening for a little bit, but for me it's like, all right, Kelvin got this fight because he knocked out Bisping. He also knocked out Bisping when Bisping was just coming off of that fight with GSP where his head wasn't all there. You know what I mean? His head was not all there. Mm-mm. And right before that, Gastelum had lost to Chris Weidman.
Mm-hmm.
Right before that, handily lost to Chris Weidman because Weidman was bigger and stronger. And I think
Weidman's big brother the shit out of him in that fight. Yeah,
and I think he's going to run into the same thing with Whitaker, except Whitaker's stand-up is just really good. He might knock him into next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I he might knock him in next week or just overwhelm him. I think there's been a little bit of a blueprint with Whitaker. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if you go out there and try to leg kick the shit out of him and you're dedicated and you just keep your hands up, you can do some damage. I don't know how amazing Kelvin is with those leg kicks. He's shown that he uses them sometimes, but if he tries to go in and trade hands with Whitaker, he's going to get fucking demolished. But if you're cagey and you try to do a little footsie action with him, you might go further, I would say, than within the, But holy shit, man, he's tough. But what bothers me about Whitaker is that he's so fucking brittle, and it's just one of those things that's just, you got to chalk it up to genetics and bad luck. And he's tough. He finishes fights regardless. He doesn't stop with, I got a busted hand, like Homeboy did a couple of numbered events ago. Yeah. But, I just, who knows? Calvin might pick him up and drop him and something might snap. I don't know. He's that type of, but I'm not excited to watch it either way. That's the main point.
No, not really. So the Adesanya idea, I kind of like that. We'll see who they give him next. He definitely he made some damn noise with this fight. For sure, he made some noise. He definitely put himself that rocket. Like we said with the green arrow, definitely has him on the way up. Who they give him next, I don't know. With the Weidman fight we'll be talking about later on, I'm pretty sure Jacare is probably going to be the next one in line to fight either Gastelum or Bobby Knuckles for that belt.
Are you excited for that, though, either?
Well, after what Whitaker did to Jacare the first time, not really.
Yeah.
Not really, but, I mean, I don't know. What are they going to do? Are they going to make, Adesanya fight Jacare now?
Dude,
for the shot?
Yeah, I mean, Jacare will lose his fucking mind. He's going to be super outspoken about that. And for good reason. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve the shot, Tommy, at all. I think you get that. I'm just saying I don't want to fucking see it. You know what I mean? Rent's high. I don't want to pay $70 every fucking month on top of everything else.
Well, that wouldn't be. Yeah, I don't think that would be a main event. I don't think that would be a main event at all. Maybe you could throw that on, Cormier's last fight card. You know what I mean? Maybe you could throw that one on there.
Hopefully,
that's kind of a something to get the rub, but that's not that ain't main eventing, my brother.
No, God, no. Not even for us,
buddy. Well, listen. No. So let's jump on to the next one. Carl Robertson comes out with a big win against Jack Marshman. He looked amazing in that fight, didn't he? Total domination.
Yeah, it was. I mean, two of the scores were 30-26, 30-26, and what normally I'd be like, how the fuck did that happen? Well, now I have an example of just horse slapping the shit out of somebody for the entire duration of the fight, giving them the Mongo treatment, and coming away with the victory, man. And Marshman's not a dingleberry. he's not like just some schmo, So this is
the guy's 22. The guy was 22-6 before this fight.
Yeah. You know what he is now though? 22-7.
He is. He is.
But it was good to do it on the stage. The way you said with Israel in terms of, hey, this is he made noise. Well, yeah, my man made noise. This is perfect opportunity. If you're gonna have a show out fight, it's great to have it on a pay-per-view. Although I don't know,
and a hometown crowd.
Yeah, and hey, that's a big one too. That's you got to bring everybody and support and sell tickets and blah blah blah. And he did well, so that was a plus.
Yeah, the guys over there, Dante Rivera, BJJ, totally got him ready for this fight. I mean, I'm sure I know he trains over with Catone as well. Yeah, and he had Corey Anderson in his corner. It was just a really, really good night for him, and he's another one that's just amazing. We've got him at middleweight. I still wonder what he would have been at light heavyweight, because they definitely need some new stars over there. But it's just another big win for the middleweight division. Kind of interesting to see where they go with him after this. I hope it's not like Carl Robertson against Adesanya, though. I mean, that would probably be an amazing stand-up war, but this is one of these fights that derails somebody that's on the come up right now, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it'd be a classic case of the UFC eating their young. So keep them on separate paths and only have them collide for something like a absolute title eliminator or the title itself, man. Don't do that to either one of these guys, because it's a fight game, and I know draws are a little more prevalent than they used to be, but usually somebody wins and somebody loses during these situations, and I don't want to see either of them lose for right now, especially with how exciting they can be separately. All right? You can have, usually, if you book those guys separately, you can have two good fights on a card, like two solid perspective fights on a card. With some of these fights and with some of this billing, you need that. Instead of, wasting all the heat with having them collide too early. You can build them up. Both of them are going to win again, I believe. So, why waste it?
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. I mean, he put on one hell of a performance and shows that he's a complete fighter. He had the kickboxing background, so that's kind of what everybody has in the back of their head, like, all right, this guy's just a kickboxer. No. He can grapple. I mean, his first fight in the UFC, not on the Contender, I'm talking about his first fight, I think he got somebody with a guillotine in the first round.
Exactly. So, dude's, not an asshole by any stretch. I just, no. It's not a jerk.
No, not at all. He's definitely someone you need to keep on your fight radar. Well, here's another guy to keep on your fight radar. Jared Cannonier. Holy shit.
I know.
What he did to David Branch. And we are David Branch fans here, but Cannonier was on a whole other level. That guy is enormous, bro.
Yeah, dude.
What the hell?
Cannonier looks like he's from another planet sometimes in terms of, like, different weight class, dude.
What the hell is that guy eating? That is not a middleweight.
He's eating other people. It looks like he just,
That's not a middleweight.
No, Christ.
Not
on
a heavyweight. He's cutting down to 185. That's what that is.
Easily, yeah. But and on fight night he's fee fi fo fum that middleweight division. I mean, it's both of them come out like, oh fuck, that was my biggest reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I mean, Branch was able to get him down, but it just didn't matter. It did not matter. Cannonier was just hitting way, way too hard. And eventually he caught Branch, with what was it, 39 seconds into the second round, something like that?
Yeah, it was
39 seconds left in the round.
29 left in the round. It was right towards the end of the coming. He would have gotten some time on the stool, and who knows how it would have happened. What would have happened in that third?
I don't know if he would have came out, with those cobwebs shaking out. To be honest with you, if he did make it to that bell.
Dude, he would have hopefully taken a page out of Yoel Romero's book and figured out a way to get an extra 30 seconds or something. Needed it,
Throw his mouthpiece out of the cage real quick.
Take a shit, something, man.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I mean, you got to at least clean it up, right? That's going to buy you about a minute and a half. It's a health code violation.
Yeah, dump ice onto the cage floor.
Oh, dude, dump ice onto the cage floor and watch Joe Rogan's head explode. Oh my God! That audio I listen to that at least once a year, just to remind myself that Joe Rogan can be an asshole many times. It's like, I love the guy, but he's not Jesus. He's not without his foibles, and apparently. I just feel bad for what if one of his daughters drops a thing of ice at the house, man? Does he just flip the fuck out and just absolutely lay into this poor little girl? We'll never know.
Yeah.
But,
So what do you think is next for Mr. Cannonier now?
I mean, I hear that
we're keeping it in that middleweight division. There's fights there.
Well, I was going to say
he talked about two of them.
He could go out for a Marvel movie or something with how fucking huge. I was going to say he could be an extra, in the Blade reboot. But it's so hard to think of him as a middleweight. All I keep thinking is that him and Rumble Johnson would be a great fight. And I know Rumble's
Rumble Johnson couldn't make light heavyweight if he wanted to right now.
No, Rumble Johnson would have to cut to heavyweight right now. I think officially he's pushing the scales at 285 right now. I read today. It's insane how jacked he is, and it's also readily apparent that it's not natural. Go fuck yourself if you think that he's
how dare you?
Shut up! Come on, man. I mean, you know the old tricks where you can kind of tell how big a guy should be. He does have enormous ankles, and he does have pretty thick fucking wrists. So it's not like he's gonna be naturally a small boy, right? I get that. He looked cartoonish because of those two features when he was trying to cut to 170. For real. And you can ask Gilbert Burns' eye, right? No, not Gilbert Burns. Who the fuck was it? It was somebody the Fire Burns, and he just poked the shit out of this poor bastard's eye. Gilbert Burns is the fucking 155er, right? But he's not a small guy, but dude, he's huge, fucking huge. It ain't natural.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, so we have him at middleweight, so that could be a fight for Carl Robertson. It's a bigger name. I mean, the guy just beat David Branch.
Branch is a
David
good
Branch.
name.
Yeah, and Branch not that long ago fought the former champ in Luke Rockhold and was winning the fight until he got caught up. So that's somewhere that they could go with this, or Adesanya, you know what I mean, against Cannonier. or maybe Adesanya against, oh my God, David Branch, something like that. Like it seemed like this event was like strictly for middleweights, except for the main event.
Dude, I wouldn't want to see what a like this move to middleweight still relatively fresh, no?
Very fresh.
Cannonier. So, what? Yeah. So I'm gonna be really excited to see what he does when he gets more of his cuts in him, and he can, because the argument could be made that he's a middleweight, but he's still getting used to the division too. I mean, he's fucking enormous. I cannot get over how big this motherfucker is. His head is huge. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, when I saw this fight signed, I was like, wait a minute, isn't he a light heavyweight?
Yeah.
All right, he's dropping. Hey, look, it's smart. If he could do it and do it healthy, then knock yourself out. I mean, it's not that it's not that bad. It's not like he's cutting from 250 all the way down to 185, or maybe he is. I don't know.
I think he's cutting from at least 220 to 230, bro. I would say if he's not. I mean,
a lot of these guys walk around like that. I think Weidman walks around 215, 220.
But Cannonier
you know
looks
what I mean?
much bigger than Weidman, though. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's not fair, bro.
It's not fair. It's not fair, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, that's not,
I mean, it was an entertaining fight. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was an entertaining fight. It really showcased Cannonier's stand-up. He did stuff some of Branch's takedowns, which is impressive. That's impressive because David Branch is a goddamn wizard on the ground.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But as it was coming towards the end of that round, you just make one mistake, and that's all it takes. And as we're going to be talking about this next fight after that, it's that one punch just puts you down, and that's it. Game over.
Bad,
lights out.
Too. Like, fucking bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen, like, Branch flop like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's been in there with
that
some
was
killer.
it.
But he took it. It was hard. It was hard to watch. I'm a Branch fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been in the game so long. You know what I mean? His first run in the UFC didn't really go that well. He went on to become a defending 2-division champ in the World Series of Fighting. So he built that name. He built that fan base. Everybody knew who he was coming in. His first fight back with the company was beyond lackluster. I remember us talking about that on the show. It was just like, what the hell was that?
It was tough. But was it Tarek Stafadine?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my Lord. Oh boy. Yeah, that was difficult.
It was a rough one to watch. It was definitely a rough one to watch. But since then his fights have been exciting, and I hope they keep giving him bigger names, because even if he doesn't make that charge towards the middleweight belt, he's still a big name. You can give him big names. You could put him on main cards, and it's going to get you views, and it's going to make you money, don't you think?
I think so. And he's, like I said, he's one of those guys that always has a loyal following. I think if there's yahoos that you keep on the roster from other countries just to trot them out when you go to their countries for events, then you definitely should be giving David Branch's due and sending him, some big names, because he's such a cagey veteran to the point where some of these he could win. I would never count him out. You could put him in there with anybody else that he hasn't fought in the middleweight division, and I would be like, okay, that's an intriguing matchup. So, I'm just pissed that he won't be able to, probably from here, he won't be able to get that matchup that he wanted with Jacare, right? It's the one that he's always been talking about in terms of, like, the ground battle, as a jiu-jitsu stalwart that he is. But, you know, he's still got a bunch of miles in him, I feel.
I think that fight could happen in time. Honestly, I think that fight very well could happen. But now that you mentioned the man's name, Boogeyman, Jacare defeats Chris Weidman probably in the best fight on the card. And I am not saying that because I am a Weidman fan. Madama is part of Sarah BJJ. I'm not saying that because of that. I'm saying that because this fight was fucking awesome. It was an awesome fight.
They went nuts.
Weidman's hands looked so good that night. This is a guy who had pretty damn good stand-up to begin with. Ask Anderson Silva. Ask Munoz how good this man's hands were. You know, I mean, when he knocked out Mark Munoz with that fucking elbow from Hades, it was tremendous.
Did he technically knock him into retirement? Was that?
I think so. I mean, I think so because he split him wide open.
Oh my Christ!
And he almost got Jacare with that elbow early on in that fight, if you remember. And you listen to the commentators, and they both kept saying these guys respect each other's grappling skill, so much that the only takedown that was attempted was in the second or third round by Weidman.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jacare got right back up, but as amazing as Chris is on the ground, I don't think he wanted to be in Jacare's guard because this man is a fucking jiu-jitsu wizard.
As a legend. He's a legend.
Yes.
He's a legend.
Didn't he have his shoulder out of the socket and then he tucked it into his fucking belt at the Worlds?
It wasn't his shoulder, bro. It was even worse. It was his fucking elbow.
That's it.
It was his elbow. He got, it was against Hodger. Right? Wasn't it against Hodger?
Yes.
Or was it against Marcelo? Okay. It was against Hodger. Yeah, and he was winning on points, and Hodger Gracie, widely considered probably one of the best to ever do jiu-jitsu competitively, got a full-on armbar. Full on. It worked. It snapped the man's arm in two. And he just tucked it in, kept attacking, and won that match and beat Hodger Gracie. Bro, it's insane.
And that's a testament. That's a testament to this guy because you see that when he fights in the cage. Weidman, I know, Jacare said his nose wasn't broken. His nose is fucking broken.
That's too there.
His nose was broken. Yeah. Weidman peppered that thing with jabs and straights. I mean, but Jacare just kept coming back. Like, it was a back and forth fight. You were on the edge of your seat because when you saw Jacare throw, and he landed on Chris's jaw a few times, it was just like, holy shit, how is he still standing? Like, the two of these guys put it all out there. They put it all out there. And it was that one straight right at the end, and boom. My question to you is, what the hell was Dan Miragliotta looking at? How did he not stop that fight when Weidman, when Weidman rolled over to grab Jacare's leg, he looked like when you're just blackout drunk, trying to just roll over to the side. Like, he should have stopped it right there. And big ups and much respect to Jacare for not wanting to hit Weidman when he was down. He didn't want to do it.
No.
He didn't want to do it.
He's a classy man. The guy is a honest-to-God Brazilian samurai, in my opinion. He lives this. He lives for it. He loves every part of the fight game. And one of the parts of the fight game that he loves is the other fighters. He really has that kinship and that spirit. You have to be a grade A douchebag to get Jacare to be a dickhead to you. I can't, right off the top of my head, I feel like there might have been one guy, I can't remember who, that might have gotten under his skin a little bit because he was being wild dickhead to Jacare before the fight, and then Jacare.
Wasn't it Rockhold?
Was it Rockhold? I almost want to say that it was a little bit like, I'm thinking far back as Mayhem might have said some some wild.
I thought it was Rockhold too in Strike Force.
Didn't
Jacare beat him for the belt?
Yeah. Yes, he did. So
yeah,
but he's so kind, so humble. He's a fighter's fighter. So yeah, it was awesome to see, but it's not something that's out of character. Jacare is in there to show he's the best, but I don't think he's in there to hurt anybody beyond what he has to get the W. So.
Yeah, and look, and I'm not saying anything against Mergliata. The guy's one of the best in the business.
I am,
but
he was a fucknut during this fight. Okay, like some people.
Yeah, it was.
You can say it, man. Dan, I don't know what the fuck Dan was thinking about, what he was doing, if he was thinking about filing his taxes early or some shit. Like, the guy was gone, man, and
yeah.
At the end of the day, you're not there to ensure that there's a good fight. You're there somewhat to ensure that there's a clean fight. You're not there for any other sole purpose as a primary driver for your presence than to preserve fighter safety, Tommy. So he I don't know. It's not like he was out of position either, right? That's what I'm saying.
No,
it's not like,
right
there's some fuck ups that you're like, okay, maybe he didn't see, maybe he was in a bad angle, right? Like, okay, but bro, you're right there. What's going on? So.
Yeah, he was standing right next to him because when Weidman dropped and kind of rolled to the side, Jacare looked at Dan like, "Stop this! What are you doing?"
Yeah,
and he didn't stop it.
Yeah, and that's
he didn't
the thing
stop until like 2 punches later.
I don't. What gets me too in this situation is that, like, I feel other officials, maybe with less of a pedigree than Dan. I'm gonna go on a limb here, so bear with me. Other officials in that situation, if they're in a big fight and they got two huge names like that, if one of the fighters clocks the other one and they look up at you, if it's not going to sway your decision at least, because you still want to be impartial and blah, 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 but it's at least going to give you a little pause, isn't it? Like, oh, wait a second.
I would think so.
Dan didn't seem to give a fuck. I'm a nobody, and I don't have the experience that any of these guys have, for sure. I'm in there, and Jacare, after, dropping a chingazo on our boy, looks up at me. Like, because you got to realize, these guys get paid to kill people in there. And or the ref is there to stop it, right? So you got to think, if they take a second to get out of that kill mode, which you don't know, if they lay the foot off the gas, and what if Weidman, rolls, looks like a drunk teenager, but then suddenly snaps back in. He's done it before. And then proceeds to turn that into, a single from hell and does some wild business, right? Who knows? You could end up fucking yourself. So if a fighter's willing to go, hey, that should give anybody pause, man, in my opinion. It should go, oh, shit, okay, thank you. But who knows? Dan moves in mysterious ways. He's like that U2 song, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, and I know you can agree with me, and everybody else who watched this should agree, this definitely was the best fight on the card because it was back and forth the whole time. Weidman definitely won the first 2 rounds.
Oh, yeah.
And it was even in the third up until that straight from hell. And I mean, it just dropped him, but he was kind of playing with fire, backing up against that cage with Jacare. But I mean, Jesus, his hands look so good. I don't know if he was working with a different, a different striking coach other than Ray Longo, because he didn't look, this was like the most fluid his striking has looked. And, Joe Rogan kept saying it. He's like, man, his hands are terrific. He was putting his punches together really well. He wasn't just, pot shotting. He was throwing great combinations. I mean, I think it was the best Weidman that we've seen as of late until the end of that fight. And we know it's a fight. Anything can happen. But my question to you is, do you think it's a New York curse? Because that's twice in the Garden.
There's some people that step up, and having everybody close is a good thing. I say this with me being one of the opposite folks, where if I went to go do a jiu-jitsu tournament, much smaller scale, right? Obviously, if I went to go do a jiu-jitsu tournament now, I don't know if I'd want everybody to come watch me. I'd feel weird. I would want to go in there and compete. So sometimes, man, keeping the circle small, having to be somewhere else, and you don't have I would imagine because he's there. I always wondered how fighters did it when it was hometown with all the fucking distractions, man. Because, you're there for a job, you're there for a specific reason, but then if you're, anywhere close to your hometown, you got every Tom, Dick, and Harry coming out of the woodwork asking for tickets. All of them want them for free. Everybody wants you to, oh, hey, come to this shop, and oh, hey, come to this, and come to that, and say, hey, you know what I mean? Like all the extra little shit that you have to factor in, all the distractions that I don't think you'll get if you're just coming into some fucking strange country or a strange state. You got your crew, you got your corner, you got your coaches, and you're just going in there to whoop some ass. I think it's tough. I think it's very tough. And there's some people that do it well. Unfortunately, it's one of the things that promoters, I think, ask you a lot of times, right? You're a hometown favorite. Let's put you on there, and you can drum up more live gate interest. But so maybe he's not. It's not his thing. We could talk about it like this, or we could, we could look at Uriah Faber. It seems like he fought in his fucking porch for a lot of his WEC career. Sometimes it seems, but and he did okay. But maybe it doesn't sit well with Weidman, man. Who knows?
And, Matt Serra even said the same thing. He goes, I never did well fighting local. When he had to fight in Atlantic City, he said he never did well fighting local. Maybe it is one of those, superstitious things. I mean, who the hell knows? But I don't think this fight takes anything away from Weidman just because of how good he did look. And, look, it's like we've said about most of the losses that Weidman had. He was winning the fight, and then just got caught. You look at the Yoel Romero fight. Was winning the fight, got caught. What was it? Oh, my God. Drawing a blank here. Rockhold.
Yeah.
Looked good until he threw the friggin' spinning heel kick.
I will never,
that before.
so long as I live, understand why that happened. Never.
I don't know who taught him that.
Whoever it is needs to get slapped in the mouth, because whoever even put it into his muscle memory to think about it in a bad, you just can't even put it in the files, so that during some random access time, you go to it. No. We're not even gonna have that in your DNA for fighting. Fuck out of here. Fuck you. That's it. It's all good.
So, we've talked about what they should do with Jacare, right? He's worked his ass off to get to a title shot, which I think he deserves it. What do they do at Weidman now? I don't think he's going anywhere, and nor should he. You know what I mean? Nor should he. So who do they give him now? They're not going to give him David Branch because those two will never fight. They're teammates. They're not going to fight. So what do you think?
Weidman? It makes more sense for Weidman for Israel than it does for, I think. Yeah. That might be a card that they drum up.
That scares me.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? It's a winnable fight, I think, for Weidman, though. what we know about his ground game. I think defending takedowns against Eric Brunson is one thing, but defending him against Chris Weidman's a horse of a different color. You know, I'd be shitting my pants.
Absolutely.
I'd be fucking nervous. But
yeah,
I think something, and he's got enough of a star built up that could help Weidman too.
Yeah, you know, but then you know what scares me, right?
Of course.
Let's say, you know, Weidman did lose that, then does he become the middleweight gatekeeper?
Potentially, bro. I hate to say it, but potentially, man.
Oh, that bothers me to my core.
I mean, I agree. But
that bothers me to my core. You know what I mean? It's just, oh, God, he was just looking so damn good in that fight. But, you know, it's a fight game. One punch, it's all it takes. One punch, one mistake, and, you know, it's a complete different tune, and it sucks. It really does. You know, I've got to put my fandom out here. You know, I'm a huge Weidman fan, and that was hard to watch. It was definitely hard to watch, but you know, I like Jacare too. So I wasn't Switzerland, obviously, because I'm a Weidman fan, but I'm not overly upset that Jacare won. And the classy shit that he did at the end, his speech at the end of the fight, it was just 100% class. There's no reason to not like the guy at all. And, you know, I'd say I wish him luck in whatever title shots that he gets, but if he's got to fight against Bobby Knuckles again, it's just like, rah, rah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
For real, dude. Like, it's not, you know, it doesn't move the needle at all. And as we know, UFC is all about needle movers, more so than any fights that make sense. They just got to make dollars. They don't got to make sense.
Nope, they got to make sense. CENTS. That's
it. Good call. You know,
that's what they got to make. Well, buddy, speaking of let's jump on to the main event. That was just, oh, God.
I mean,
Jesus. I mean, well, I think we're going to talk about it kind of longer than the fight lasted, to be honest with you. You know, as the week was going on, and I forget who it was that made the post saying, is there anybody that's giving Derek Lewis a chance? And, of course, you know, Roberto was like, hell yeah. And the first thing I said is there anybody giving him a chance to get out of the second round?
Hey.
You know, it was like, come on, you know he's not getting out of that second round. If he got out of that second round, it was because Daniel Cormier let him. If he got out of that second round. Roberto, he lost that fight because his balls was cold.
I mean, he's not wrong. You know, I think.
Yeah. Look, we talked about this when they announced it.
What is
How do you give? No. How do you give a heavyweight like Derek Lewis less than a month to prepare for Daniel Cormier, who's been relaxing, chilling out since his big win over Stipe? You're going to give this guy 3 weeks, who in his post-fight speech, after he dropped the bomb about his balls being hot, fucking told Joe Rogan, I am not in shape for a championship fight. So what do? Like, less than a week later? UFC 230 has its main event, Daniel Cormier against Derek Lewis. Wow.
Dude.
Did it make any fucking fight sense to you? Because it didn't make any sense to me.
It didn't make sense. All it did was just really, you know, fucking provide some sort of name brand recognition to the top of a card that was a little bit lackluster. I'm positive that they paid both men a significant grip of cash. And I think that's pretty much the end of the reasoning for making this fight, man. You want to get as many fights out of Cormier as possible. And you know what? It was a potential Hail Mary. Because what if he connects? Calls it a day, right? Stranger things have happened, Tommy. All right?
Yeah,
isn't
that the same? Isn't that the same hypothetical the Conor McGregor nut huggers had about the Floyd Mayweather fight?
Oh, for sure. And it's the same hypothetical that we had when Matt Serra, with GSP, and it turned out to be true. I'm not saying, anybody's on anybody's level, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just saying these things happen. That's why you fight the fights. You just don't have them on paper, and you have fight simulators doing the thing, the matrix overlords determining fights and their outcomes. And because it was a win-win for the UFC. Either Cormier does what he's going to do, you get you squeeze out a couple of more juice points from a little bit of a disappointing event on paper, at least, right? Because it's not like we have to consider that on paper is really a lot of what matters, because that's what's going to drive the buys. That's what's going to drive people. It's very rare that you're like watching a pay-per-view midway through and then you call your friend and he's like, yo, you got to order this pay-per-view. I know 3 fights are done, but you got to drop to 70 to watch the other 2. Never happens, right? So it's not like, so you want to get the name recognition up front and you want to get people's purchasing decisions decided early. But it's a win-win. Cormier wins, then you set up the shenanigans that you did with Brock. Or Cormier loses, holy shit, it's an upset, and you have one of the most marketable and hilarious social media presences on your roster as the top of the heavyweight division. They couldn't lose, bro.
I don't know, man. It's just like, I don't know. Look, we love Derek Lewis. We do. But to me, this seemed like Dana was like, okay, well, here's an easy way for us to make Derek Lewis some money, for DC to get his first heavyweight title defense under his belt before his final fight when he's 40. They knew he was going to win. I don't think Dana was even had an inkling of a thought that the Black Beast was going to be able to connect with Daniel Cormier. I don't think he did. Now, when you see Lewis's stand-up, the guy does throw head kicks. That's pretty cool. But, and I'm asking you this, don't you think that's going to zap more of the energy that you really don't have throwing head kicks when you're a 265-pound, well, by the time he got in the cage, he was probably 270-something. Isn't that going to zap the old fucking energy bar just a wee bit too much?
No, kicks always did. Whenever I would get tired is when I started to become a really good boxer, when I was doing taekwondo, or when I was just really, really tired doing fucking stand-up, like for MMA or, training, or for fucking, even Muay Thai. When I would get tired, it'd just be like, well, suddenly I think I'm going to be, Mr. Hagler. Like, no, you're just throwing a leg. It costs a couple more endurance points than throwing a fucking arm. I agree.
I mean, you would think that his coaches would have said, listen, conserve whatever energy you have for when he's going for takedowns. And, I mean, look, you saw the first takedown DC hit. He did it fairly easy with the single leg. Pulled him right off the cage and put him right down. He did it fairly easy. Don't you think? For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. This fight, I'm just pissed that we're still talking about this fight. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. It's like, just because what really grinds my gears, Thomas, is that...
You know what grinds my gears?
That's much better than I did. It's DC's wasting his time fighting these type of fights. That bothers me, period. So
Yeah.
I would just really want to see DC fight more meaningful fights. I saw your reasoning in terms of why he's going to take the Brock Lesnar fight and then ride off into the sunset. I completely agree, but it pisses me off because we have, I think, a generational talent, very high caliber fighter that we're going to be talking about for a long time, even after he retires. But you got him fighting fucking Derek Lewis on short notice, get your bag. God bless you, but come on, bro.
Well, look, I mean, I don't think my reasoning is that fucking far off. First of all, we've seen the goddamn Jones fight twice at light heavyweight. You don't need to see it at heavyweight. That's number one. Number two, Lesnar was a UFC champion. Everybody can sit there and say, oh, he got popped. He got popped for clomiphene. Same fucking thing John Jones got popped for the first time. He didn't lose any fucking fans. He actually gained more for being a fuck-up. All right? So that's what Brock Lesnar got popped for. The guy was a superstar before he came to the UFC. All right? And he wasn't like the CM Punk that came in, got dusted, and left. He came in, lost his first fight to Frank Mir, came back, and didn't lose another fight again until he fought Cain Velasquez. He beat Randy Couture. Doesn't that mean anything? He beat Randy Couture when he was Randy the fucking Natural Couture. After he beat the brakes off Gabriel Gonzaga. And now he's fighting Brock Lesnar. Okay? Lesnar still got stuff left in the fucking tank. And I don't care what you Mark Hunt. I don't care what these Mark Hunt nut huggers. Oh, he was on steroids. He was going to beat Mark Hunt without goddamn steroids. Why?
Stop.
Because he can fucking wrestle.
No,
he can
without
wrestle.
Steroids, that fight's different. Trust me.
What do you
Come
mean?
on.
He takes him down faster?
No, I think that at his age, the steroids thing I think it's a really big crutch at this point, Tommy. We've seen the physical changes that happen with a Brock Lesnar when he's on the sauce versus when he's off the sauce. And I think every time that he cycles on and off,
Are
as
you
he gets
talking
older,
about when he lost to Alistair Overeem and had just got done having his fucking stomach operated on from diverticulitis? Are you kidding me?
No, I like the articulation on diverticulitis, but no, I'm talking about recent photos I've seen when he was just jumping back into the fucking testing pool, and then it's like, holy shit, that's a different person, And it's only natural.
Did you happen to see him wrestling the other day?
I happen to see him wrestling, and I happen to have skeptical hippo eyes in terms of how
skeptical hippo eyes. You can have the skeptical hippo eyes all you want. That Mark Hunt fight was going to go the same way based just on grappling skill alone. And the guy is the size of a fucking Kenworth goddamn 18-wheeler. On or off the sauce.
He is a big man. He is. I remember him in fucking college.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But but he was a 18-year-old kid. All right? He had more semen than
and you look
through his body.
Yes. And you look at Cormier, they're both wrestlers. It's like that article that I wrote for Fight Book. The fight that the UFC wants is the fight that we hate, but it makes the most sense. Because they're not going to give Stipe his fucking rematch. They're not going to give him the rematch.
Stipe is like the forgotten stepchild of this division, and it's so criminal that he's not getting. Oh my God, the fuck, man! How is Stipe's face in a fucking milk carton? All right, and he still holds the record for defenses. Do I think that
Do you want
Cormier?
to know the truth?
Yes.
Do you want to know the truth? I think Dana is shit scared that Stipe will beat Cormier. Because I think deep down he knows that he probably can, and I still think that he can. He's doing well in that fight. Cormier? Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Stipe is a really, really, really underrated heavyweight. And that's hard, and that's sad to say that he's underrated, even though he has the fucking, defense record. And he's still underrated. It's just nobody wants to give that man his propers. The dude is a fucking nightmare. All right, has a work ethic like crazy. You know, the only guy that I think that I would always bet against him doesn't even exist anymore. It's a prime Cain Velasquez, like prime. You know, that man's gone. All right, he was dispatched by the vagaries of fate and injury, unfortunately. But aside from that, man, name a guy in the heavyweight division that you would like 100% always bet against Stipe on. Nobody.
None.
No.
None.
Not at all.
You know, and that division is so stale.
Oh, Christ.
That as wrong as it is, to make money, they need the Brock Lesnar fight. Just imagine, if you will, Brock Lesnar does beat Cormier. Let's just say he beats him, okay? Then they set up John Jones, Brock Lesnar, which is the fight that they were talking about throughout most of John Jones' suspension. So that's two marquee, big money, back-to-back fights that the UFC will have in the heavyweight division that has been beyond stale. Don't you think?
Yeah, honestly. It's why would they not have him on? Oh, shit. Wait a second. Is it who I think it is?
You have been
Hello?
graced by Kareem.
Oh, there it is.
Of the
Kareem
Dream.
the Dream. Pride Rules MMA's Black Beast. What's up, buddy?
What's going on? Oh,
Well,
man.
as always, you jump right in, right when things are about to start getting good. I'm sure you've been listening. We're talking about DC and Brock Lesnar. What are your thoughts?
It's stupid.
No, it's not.
It's so stupid. I'm baffled that you seem pleased by it. It's so bad. It's ridiculous. It's what's gonna happen. They get in there, either DC, gives him the old Derek Lewis, or, shock and dismay, Lesnar, cracks him with an old Randy Couture. He's huge and strong still, even probably, praying to all gods known that he makes it over the USADA hurdle, which I'm still not convinced he will.
Thank you.
Even if it's after the fact. But,
Thank you.
what does it prove if he goes in clean and cracks him? Look what he did to Randy. He grazed him behind the ear, and Randy dropped. What does that prove? If Cormier, slips something and gets grazed and goes down, what does that do for the heavyweight division? It doesn't do anything. DC can't beat Jones. Jones will go and get that belt from Brock because that is a shortcut, super-duper easy way for him to get it. And that's if Stipe doesn't jump up for that huge payday to get the belt back first. It doesn't do anything. It's just kind of like passing a fucking baton for a couple $1 million.
Well, let me tell you something.
Dumb.
See, here's the thing with me. Like I said, they are not giving Stipe the rematch, and it sucks, but that's just the way it is, because Stipe put his hat in the ring for UFC 230 to fight Daniel Cormier, and they picked Derek Lewis. Why did they do that? Because Dana does not want Stipe to get that belt back off Daniel Cormier. So, Cormier fights Lesnar. You almost want Lesnar to win, because when Daniel Cormier hits 40, he's retired. So you'll have a legit chance. Not he's dropping the belt, and now they're having a fight for the title that he never lost. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have a legit champ. They were talking about this John Jones-Brock Lesnar fight while Jones was in the heart of his suspension. So the fight will make a shit ton of money. And then the winner of that could fight Stipe. Maybe, if Stipe sticks around. He just might say screw it.
You're forgetting a massive piece It's another reason it makes no sense. Rumble Johnson.
There you go.
This motherfucker
We
is
just talked about Rumble Johnson. We don't think he could make heavyweight.
Like, I hear, like, right around now, he's about 285.
Yo!
That is, yeah, like, he's jacked to the tits. That is not too much. That's not too much of a difference of a cut from his walk around to 205. He doesn't appear to be getting any heavier. He's just not getting any lighter, and that's because he's not fighting. But, you know, sources close in say he misses it. He really wants back in, and it'll be back in at heavyweight or back in against Jones. Now, if that was like a key in there, that would be dope. Johnson against any of them at heavyweight would be dope. This Johnson, this one that's like fucking Broly times a million, that guy that would fucking, like, a heavyweight Johnson probably shouldn't be legally allowed on the planet Earth to punch another, like, living being inside the octagon, because their head would probably just burst and turn into dust. But I would like to see that shit.
My heavyweight Johnson isn't allowed near certain people. I know that. Like, that's, you know, fact.
Like,
yeah, here's my only question about that. Question and concern. The two guys that we're talking about with Lesnar and John Jones can wrestle. What's Rumble Johnson's Achilles heel? Guys who can wrestle.
Listen, with Jones, that's a valid point to make, not with Brock. Brock is not good enough of a fighter around to not get hit. He's never been in a fight, and once he's won and not been hit at least once or twice. And I think the wind from Johnson's fist at heavyweight would be enough to knock any one of them out. So a guy who flinches if you fucking flick a finger in his direction when he's fighting, probably not the best candidate for, you know, surviving a fight against Rumble, especially at heavyweight.
Omar, you get my concern with Rumble Johnson, right?
I get the concern, but 285. Jacked at 285. And it's not like he's a Ron Waterman 285, which is to say has no business being an elite heavyweight. I think he does more damage than you're giving him credit for, Tommy. And I'm telling you, I brought him up earlier because I want to see it happen. Man, bring him back.
I wouldn't mind seeing him come back either, because it's a division that we've said it a million times is beyond stale. He definitely would bring something, but I don't know and I can't even say that for the time that he's had off, just throwing him into a title fight. The only reason why I could say that is because the last two title fights that he had, Rumble Johnson really didn't show up. He showed up for, one punch, and when Cormier shook it off, Rumble Johnson disappeared. And that second fight was just, what the fuck happened?
Look, the first time, Cormier didn't shake that shit off. He got knocked out on his feet, hit the mat, and bounced back up. It's like a flash KO. Same shit you've seen in boxing 1,000 different times. That is not the same.
Yeah, but Johnson hit him. Johnson hit him with the punch that he almost killed Alexander Gustafsson with.
Yeah,
and Cormier went on to dominate the fight.
He hit the mat and fucking woke himself like that. It woke him up. It's like, who knows? Like, I don't know, man. Different angle, like 3 inches to the right. Who knows? Like, no fucking rollback and mat bounce. Who knows? Not taking it away from DC. Like, I'm not a fan, but I like this dude. I'm just saying, like, these motherfuckers don't want to get hit by this guy. The only one that stands a chance of, like, going in there and avoiding at least one of those bombs is Jones.
I still wouldn't mind seeing Rumble Johnson connect to Jones's jaw.
Listen,
Oh,
I've been an advocate of Jones's return to the throne for one reason, because I want to see Rumble give him the Apollo Creed. I don't literally want to see Jones die in the ring, but I do want to see him hit the mat and do that fucking twitching face down maneuver. Like, that has been my dream. Like, I got so close, and then the kid gets popped. But my hope is he goes up, snatches that heavyweight belt, and that will coax Rumble. Even like that will be enough to get Rumble back out. A heavyweight fight between them. One, I don't even think actually that fucking Jones would even take. Like, the kid, like, he's never been stupid about where and when he fights people. I don't know that he would take it, but that's been my dream. That's been my fucking dick hard, wet dream from as soon as Rumble stabilized his weight and came in at 205. I'm like, that's the guy that's going to fucking knock Jones out. And that's what I want more than anything, more than a McGregor fight, more than a fucking Korean zombie fight, more than a cowboy fight. I want Rumble Johnson to knock Jones's head into orbit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see where they're going to go with it, when they're going to sign what. You started talking about John Jones. He's got that fight with Gustafson coming up. Do we think Jones is still going to be in the UFC after that fight, or does he get popped a third time?
I don't think he's going to get popped, but I don't think there's too many more fights that are going to like fucking pay big, that are going to pay out big for him in the UFC. So the real question is he going to jump ship? Like, what's on his contract? Is he going to sign some kind of extension? Like, what deal are they going to work for him? Because I don't know where he's at with how many fights he's got left.
Yeah, I don't know. And, you know, I said this with the fight with DC. I'm shocked that Dana's doing the main event. I understand it's John Jones. It's going to sell no matter where he fights on the card. But to me, it's iffy. You know, the last two times you fought, you got popped. I mean, Jesus Christ. I still would like to know who he snitched on to get himself back in the fray and time served and all that shit. I would really love to know who he snitched on. As far as this fight goes, there's a part of me that doesn't think it's going to be as epic as the first one was. Am I the only one that's feeling that way?
I really don't think he's going to get popped. I don't think it's going to be a super exciting fight if he doesn't play with Gustafson, but this is like Gustafson's done. Like, not done in the sport, but done with his chance to, like, do something great in there against Jones. Argue robbery from the first fight if you want, but there's three facts that whatever you want to call them, what Gustafson calls them an excuse, and that there's three facts based on Jones getting in trouble that show how far ahead Jones is over Gustafson. He went out partying with a bunch of hoes and was throwing his dick on the crap table like he was Eddie Murphy in the fucking 80s. He was doing a bunch of fucking coke, and he basically only showed up to the gym long enough to say, nah, I'm not training today, and look at how hard that fight was for Gustafson. Now this dude's been doing nothing but training in the gym, uphill sprints, training like he's just been training. Maybe he's bumping a couple of 8 balls off the back of his toilet bowl at home. Who knows? I don't think he'll get popped with steroids. Coke?
I hope so.
That's a 50-50. But coke is not a performance-enhancing drug, and if Gustafson gets in there and gets smashed out and they pop him for coke, listen, I don't think this is a fight like Gustafson should have taken. Gustafson hasn't fought in longer than Jones has. Yeah. Well, Omar, I have this question for you before we jump on to our last topic of the evening. You think it's kind of fucked up how at the press conference somebody made a joke about dick pills and Dana just thinks it's the funniest thing in the world? Like, you're laughing at the fact that your golden boy, who's your
your heavier weight Conor McGregor got himself busted for banned substances twice, and they're making a fucking joke out of it.
Well, it is a joke, dude. It wasn't dick pills. I'm gonna drop some knowledge on you. All right, I think you know that. I think it's always been kind of like a fucking badly kept secret. He went with dick pills. You know, he had Ray Donovan walked in, sat down in front of John Jones and said, "Okay, here's what you got to do." And he gave him like 3 options, and he chose dick pills. It was either dick pills, he got roofied by Rebel Wilson, you know, or he got taken out back by Andrew Fernandez's son, and they had a good time. And he chose dick pills as something of to use as an excuse. Not what it was, guys. All right. So yeah, it's kind of like everybody going there. Oh yeah, some excuse you gave to your mom in terms of why you came home late one day, and then your friends are in on it. Then your friends say it. And it's just like, and then eventually your own mom is like, yeah, I know you're fucking around. So come on.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I still think it's something to make a joke out of, because it was kind of a huge black spot on the company, not once but twice in a row.
Really? You're gonna say black spot about John Jones? Come on.
Oh, don't start.
Come on, bro. Kareem, you're gonna let him get away with this?
Don't start.
Come on.
Don't start. I don't know. I don't think it's a good look, and it's. I don't know. Is that just me, or do you guys feel the same way?
At this point, it's beyond the pale. Like, it's like, okay. I think Kareem got so offended that you said black spot that I think he called me today.
Listen, listen. I don't even know what to say much except just across the board. Don't want to see DC fight. I don't want to see DC fight Lesnar. It's like the novelty wore off as soon as Brock shoved DC. Like, he gave him like a love tap shove, and I felt like DC's soul like halfway left his body. I don't think Gustafsson should be taking that fight because, like, that dude's out of his mind. Like, he's pretty fucked up. Like, he was chasing behind fucking DC like he was, posting all that shit he was posting. He needs to get his fucking head checked. He's been out longer than Jones. Probably should have took some kind of tuner in the meantime. Not going to end well for him. And I just want to see Rumble give Jones the Ivan Drago. Like, that's it. That's my Christmas list. I don't think that's too much to ask. Everything else, I think, is just in between bullshit, including dick pills.
Fucking.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that fight actually happens. So, guys, let's talk about this one last topic before we're going to wrap up the show. This is coming out of Japan. New Year's Eve in the Saitama Super Arena. Kenshin Nasukawa, who is a 20-year-old kickboxing phenom, phenomenal kickboxer, is going up against Floyd Mayweather. Now, I'm getting angry because they're saying Floyd Mayweather to MMA. If you're modifying the fucking rules, it's not MMA.
Listen, there's not going to be any modified rules. Floyd's not going to allow anything but
fight.
But, a boxing fight in Japan. Which, by the way, like, I hear this kid's got, not anywhere near is far off, like, a beginner's chance of, landing some good shit. Is he going to beat Floyd in a boxing match? Beyond doubtful. But come on, who really believes Floyd is going to accept kicks, like any of that shit?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the weird thing is they haven't come out with the rules yet. So that's the weird thing. And look, this is great for Ryzen. I don't know how they're getting the money to pay Floyd Mayweather to come out there and fight, but he's not fighting for anything less than $100 million, don't you think, Omar?
I think he's actually they're giving him all the Bitcoin that was supposedly lost in Japan a couple of months ago. So I think that's what's going on, dude. If this fight has anything like MMA rules, I'm calling that it's going to be a pick fight. Barring that, it's just going to be a boxing match. They might allow they're going to do some bullshit where it's like one kick around or some shit. This has abortion written all over it. I don't know what. It's exciting because it's Floyd Mayweather, but you're right, man. They got to be giving him at least, 50, 100, 125? He would just fight McGregor again. Come on, man. It's ridiculous.
Listen, there's going to be no kicks allowed. There's going to be no knees allowed. There's going to be nothing that's going to fucking injure this man's body in any way that's not
right?
not a fist.
It's only body shot. Some bullshit, bro. I agree. Ridiculous.
It's going to be some bully beatdown rules. It's going to be bully beatdown rules.
Not even bully beatdown. They let you kick to the body. They let you kick to the body. It's going to be
or every other round is grappling, right? Right, for bully beatdown.
Yeah.
You can grapple every other round. Nah, bro. Not even that. That's too nice.
Well, yeah, but bro, Floyd Mayweather's wrestling is a 7.
Stop. Fuck you. I hate you that.
Listen, it's not happening. It's a boxing match. They're gonna tickle your clit all the way up to the day of the event by fucking keeping the rules mysterious, and then Floyd's gonna be like, we'll let him do a little extra and tie up, which may amount to fighting your way out of the clinch a little bit. Not even a takedown, because he could fucking get taken down wrong, and his body's not built for that shit. They'd probably allow some kind of fucking modified clinch rule at the most, where they give him a little bit longer in there, and they allow them short rabbit punches that the refs usually fucking warn you off of in boxing. But no, man, there's gonna be nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. Because if Floyd was willing to go up against an undefeated, and this kid's got fucking, if I'm not mistaken, 4 MMA fights, he's undefeated, fucking knocking people out in submission shit left and right. If he was willing to allow any kind of MMA rule into question, even not even into actual use, but into question, he would have done that with the McGregor fight and fucking upped the sales on that thing 1,000-fold. Just talking about it, everybody knew it was a boxing match. Look how much they made. If they would have even discussed up to the minute that it could have any kind of MMA striking or rules allowed, the fucking amount of people who would have retardedly fucking rushed to buy it would have doubled over. But he was like, nope, not happening. I think he realizes how much money he missed out on, and now he's going to fucking sell this shit up. He's going to sell this shit up. Oh, the rules haven't been released yet. He's going to dictate to Ryzen, oh, man, this is what we're going to do. And because, they're fucking crooked as a limp dick, they're going to give in to whatever he says, and it's going to be a fucking glorified boxing match, 100%.
Well, if it is that, I would hope it's a boxing match in 4-ounce gloves. That's what I would hope. That would change things a lot.
But for the awesome reasoning you're thinking, he's never going to do it. Because, again, that's something else he could have done with the McGregor fight. Hey, I'm not a mixed martial arts guy, but you know what? The one concession he could have made is dropping the gloves down to 4 ounces. But 4 ounces, he's such an amazing and, godly defensive boxer that the 4-ounce gloves don't present as much danger to him getting hurt as he does hurting his hands using them. He's never going to do it.
Yeah, this is, well, you know, and I'm going to say this before we close out. I'm glad Dana White didn't cower to having Floyd Mayweather fight in the octagon in a modified rules. It belongs in Ryzen because they do the hokey shit. You know, they do the 700-pound Gabby Garcia against a 50-year-old school teacher. They do those fights. It makes sense.
Excuse
out
me.
there.
650. She's been dieting.
Okay, you got that. Yeah, that's true. That's true. She only cut it down to 6 shots a week instead of 12.
Yeah.
You know, so they do this kind of stuff. So it makes sense there. To me, it doesn't really hurt the sport because they still, you know, wheel Bob Sapp out there after a fucking 14-fight losing streak and he finally gets a win. That's what they do. That's what the Japan fans love, is the big marquee matchups that make absolutely no sense, and that's what they like. So I'm glad it's being done over there. Aren't you, Omar?
I'm glad it's being done in a place where there's not any cause for legitimacy. I agree.
Yeah. There's nothing legitimate about this at all, except, you know what? Everybody's looking up this kid now. You know, nobody knew who Nasukawa was before, unless you are deeply rooted in kickboxing and the Japanese fighting. So now everybody's looking this kid up, and they can see how official he is, because that's the first damn thing I did was Google this kid, and holy shit, he's a really damn good fighter.
He got that smoke for everybody. He does. So, you know, people better not sleep on him. And if it's anywhere, I agree with Kareem 100%, but if they allow anything else other than just straight boxing, Nasukawa could do some damage.
Tell me you wouldn't mind seeing Mayweather get knocked out with a spinning wheel kick.
Man. I wouldn't try if, because, you know, he was over there fucking around in Japan for a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he's fucking got some money behind some people, like for this kid. Because can you imagine he puts any money in, like, somebody's pocket that has anything to do with this kid's career and his contract, and now, like you said, jumping up and going, hey, I'm going to fight him New Year's Eve. Fucking end-of-the-year card. Japan loves a spectacle. The eyes on this kid now, that would be an easy moneymaker for Floyd. Like, on that end, being inside the ring and out. Because, like, he can't read worth a goddamn, but he's got a pretty good sense on to do to fucking line up some dollars before, you know, the IRS shows up. So I would not be surprised by that at all.
Yeah, here's another thing I'm saying. It's very interesting, honestly, to see if this fight even really does happen. The other thing I'm thinking of, like, they honey dick us now, and then right before the fight's going to happen, somebody gets hurt, and then the fight doesn't happen.
Like, I think it's going to happen. Like, it's a boxing fight. Like, that kid is 100% going to look to, you know, get that money, and Floyd is going to look to cash in on everything.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, we'll see. I hope it happens, and I hope it's a lot more official than just a glorified boxing match. That's what I hope. That is my 100% hope. I hope that's what we get. I hope we get something that's a little bit more official. So we are going to start wrapping up here now, guys. There is an event this weekend. It sucks that Frankie Edgar is not fighting against the Korean Zombie. They're trotting out Yair Rodriguez. And before we close out, this is something that just pisses me off. So Yair Rodriguez is going to take a fight against the Korean Zombie, but he won't take a fight against Zabit.
No.
I think the Korean Zombie beats the shit out of him worse than Zabit, to be honest with you.
100% true, but I had heard once he came back in, that Zabit fight was supposed to be on.
Yeah.
I think he just got offered this and took it because it's probably better money.
Yeah, well, if you thought the beating that Frankie put on him was bad, I think we're going to see another twister in the octagon. What do you think, Omar?
If he hits 2, he needs to be put into the UFC Hall of Fame during his career. If he hits 2 in the fucking UFC in live combat, get the fuck out of here. I'd go nuts.
Can you imagine?
Fuck, dude, it'd be amazing.
I'm like.
Would it be that amazing against Yair though? I mean,
yeah, like twisters make my dick hard, so I'm down for one popping up in an actual fight at any point. But yes, the Korean Zombie, 100%.
Well, we will find out this weekend. Guys, we will be back next week. Quick shout-out to our sponsors, 80K Fightwear, Black Hole Jiu-Jitsu, Madama Jiu-Jitsu, 2-Minute Warning Sports 360, and our family over there at Fightbook MMA. Guys, November 9th, check out the World Bare Knuckle Boxing Federation. As everybody knows, the Fightbook MMA lead writer for that federation is Adam Labar. God, that's so much in my head right now. Boss Rutan is running the show over there. He is El Capitan of that federation. You got Chris Levin fighting Phil Baroni. Sean Merriman was supposed to fight, but that fight is off now. It is a stacked card. You guys got to get over to Fight TV, order that, throw some support for that federation. They definitely deserve it. These bare knuckle boxing fights are absolutely amazing. It's another flavor of combat sports that we can all use, and that is a great federation to watch out for. So, guys, this was a really great show. I can't wait to do this again with you guys next week. So, as always, I am your host, the Reverend Tommy D, joined with me by Kareem the Dream and El Professor Omar Sangarima. We are Pride Rules Podcast. Good night.